Well, it's 6:45, and I'd like to call the Capital Improvements and City Development Committee to order. Sitting on this committee are Councilor Dolan and Councilor Waterman. Welcome any other councilor who wishes to attend. Public is also invited to monitor the activities. I have one motion to bring before you this evening for your consideration. From the docket of March 16th, 2021, I entertain a motion to approve the expending of the Reimagined Streets Grant through the MassDOT in the amount of approximately $122,149.50 awarded to the city for the Shared Winter Streets and Spaces program, which will be used to improve the alleyways between Bank Street and Academy Street near the Sanford Street Municipal Garage. In approving the expenditures of these funds, I also move to approve any future grant amendments.
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Waterman. So this project is on a very, very strict time constraint. There were a few questions asked by a fellow councilor. Wanted to know who's going to pay for the electricity. The answer is the city is going to pay for the electricity. The question was whether or not we have any buy-in support from adjacent businesses, and the answer is yes. When I met with Catherine Feerick on Friday, she rattled off a number of companies so fast I didn't get an opportunity to write down their names. So it's safe to say that all of the abutting businesses are pretty excited about this. The third question he asked, is there an expected annual maintenance fee for this? And what I learned was that the most expensive component for maintenance is going to be snow removal. And they're still working that out on how that's going to take place and what kind of equipment is going to be required to do that. And there's also a potential that if it gets to be too much of a burden, the park might be closed for a day or two while they get to removing the snow. This is a lovely little bonus grant that's going to turn an alleyway that is not quite so visitor friendly now as it can be. Is that a nice polite way of saying it? It's a remarkably large space. When you go there and walk through it, you actually realize that there is room for plantings and benches and even a food truck. So I was quite surprised. I didn't think it was quite as large as it actually is. I remember it as being small. The only time I've been there was when I was looking at the Sanford Street Garage in the past projects. So the grant is being totally funded, $122,149.50. There was discussion early on about adding a large ceramic mosaic to one of the walls there, much like you see in the city of Pompeii in Italy, and mosaics that have lasted that long. So it was a nice idea, but it wasn't included in the budget, and that has been removed from this proposal. So in the future, there may be some fundraising efforts that try to build up a $50,000 account so that they can actually purchase a mosaic and install it in the park, which would add to the beauty of the little alleyway. That's pretty much all I have, unless you have some questions. Any questions?
Well,
Councilor Waterman, you have the floor.
thank you. I would just say I foresee it as a place where we could have some small musical events. I would see it as a possibility that some of our local artists might have something to display there that might cost a lot less than $50,000 and be, local pride. So I think it's a great idea. It's a win-win, I think.
I agree with you completely. Anything else? Anyone else have any questions? Seeing none, I'll call for a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. And that concludes the business I'm going to bring before you tonight. I do want to tell you that tonight we're having the public hearing on capital improvement plan with the regular meeting. Next week, I would like to discuss with the two of you an idea for going forward with capital improvement planning. And you should be prepared to have a discussion about that next week so that we can put together a proposal for the mayor and get that right out the door before the budgeting starts.
Okay.
And I don't have anything else that's big coming up beyond that. So next week, that'll be our number one topic. And I do want to talk to Mark Furtado again between now and then because I'd like to see if we can mature what's going on there a little bit more quickly. So that concludes the comments that I have. Anyone else have anything else to bring before the committee? Okay, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Dolan. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I declare the Capital Improvement City Development Committee adjourned at 6:51. Thank you. Hey, Steve, have you and Barbara got your shots yet? You're muted.
Barbara has both, and I have one.
Good for you. That's wonderful news.
How about you?
We've got one. We're getting the second one next Friday. Not
Yeah,
this
me
Friday.
too. Next Friday. Me too.
Yeah.
Next Friday. Yep.
We went down to Dartmouth to get them, and I was very impressed with the professionalism of the operation. It was very smooth. How about you? Did that go well?
Yeah, I went to Gillette, and I couldn't believe the number of people there, but it was extremely well organized and went well. So
Did you have to wait in line long?
I had a 12:10 appointment. They tell you can get in line at 12. I got my shot at 12:31, so I didn't think it was that bad. So,
I'm so happy to hear that you got shot.
Richard, turn your voice up. Thank you.
Peter, can you hear me now? Okay.
Yeah, that's better, Rich. We were muted. They must have muted us at the station.
Okay, great. Thanks.
Did you have your meeting already, Richard? Tuned in late.
My apologies. I had a little trouble getting on. I had to reset my computer. So hold on. Let me just bring everything up. Give me another minute and we'll start. Okay. I'd like to call this meeting of the Municipal Council to order at 7:05. Mr. Withers, would you kindly do a roll call attendance?
I will. Mr. Blair,
Here.
Ms. DeSimone,
Here.
Mr. Conti,
Present.
Mr. Waterman,
Present.
Vice President Jackson,
Here.
Mr. Delissio,
Here.
Mr. Cobus,
Here.
Ms. Dolan,
Here.
Ms. Reynolds,
Here.
Ms. Holmes,
Present.
President Cooper.
Here.
11 people are present. The entire council's here, Mr. Cooper. President Cooper.
Thank you. At this time, I'd entertain a motion to approve the minutes of March 2nd and March 9th.
Second.
Thank you. Motion's in order. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, a roll call vote will begin with Councilor Holmes.
Ms. Holmes,
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds,
Yes.
Ms. Dolan,
Yes.
Mr. Cobus,
Yes.
Mr. Delissio,
Yes.
Vice President Jackson,
Yes.
Mr. Waterman,
Yes.
Mr. Conti,
Yes.
Ms. DeSimone,
Yes.
Mr. Blair,
Here.
President Cooper.
Yes.
11 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you. Motion passes. At this time, we'll go on to the public hearing scheduled for this evening. Mr. Withers, would you kindly read the notice of the first public hearing?
Yes, the first one is a public hearing regarding an application to waive section 11-15.1 to serve alcoholic beverages or wine on city property for a private wedding.
Thank you. Is there anyone here to speak in favor of this application? Just looking to see. I see the applicant there, so
Hi, everyone. Yeah, this is Adam and Kelsey. I don't know if you can see us or hear us.
I can hear you, Adam, but we can't see you, but that's fine. If you can't get the video to work, that's fine.
Okay.
Adam, just for the record, your address.
Well, Kelsey and I just bought a house in Providence 3 months ago at 180 Elm Grove Avenue.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
And so why don't you just tell the council on what you plan to do at the zoo, and the council may have some questions for you when you're done.
Definitely. So, so Kelsey and I, my family, the Semple family, I'm a 7th generation Attleboro, and I worked at the zoo when I was in high school, and then again when I was in college. And I've been to a lot of events at the zoo in the last 5 or 6 years where there was alcohol, Zootoberfest and a couple of other fundraisers. And so when we approached the zoo to see if they'd be willing to let us do our wedding there, they were really receptive and excited. We talked to Derek Horsey, the park superintendent, and Lou Stevens, the zoo director. We met with the entire staff there to talk about how to do it safely and do it well. And obviously it's a wedding, so we'd like to serve beer and wine. We purchased an insurance policy for the event, and we've contracted with tip certified bartenders if you guys will allow us to move forward. And the event is taking place on October 28th from 23rd, from 4:30 in the afternoon until 10 p.m. at night. Do you have anything you want to add, Kelsey?
Nope.
Okay. Any questions for the applicants? Councilor DeSimone and then Delissio.
Thank you, President Cooper. Adam, just 2 questions. One is just for the record. The other one, in your letter, I believe you said it's an open bar, so you would not be selling the alcohol.
Yes, correct.
Okay. And number 2, did Derek or anybody else instruct you or suggest you contact the police department with a group this size? Or have you? I'm sorry.
No, we had asked about that. If we needed any other permits or details or anything like that, we're happy to do whatever the city would ask us to. But he said, no, it shouldn't be required. So if that's not the case, again, we're happy to hire whatever additional services you guys would require.
Just to be clear, I don't know that it is. I just didn't know if that would be wise or if it was otherwise suggested.
Sure.
Thank you, President Cooper.
Thank you. So, Adam, I just in the spirit of full transparency, I'm going to ask the police chief to weigh in here.
Sure.
It's not up to Derek to decide whether or not police are required at a venue this size. So I'm of the opinion that things like Zoo Moon and other things that we have at Capron Park have required. So let's just let the police chief weigh in on that, and that should be really just be by a quick email to the police chief. But I'll leave that up to the chair that this is in that person's committee. They can do that. So Councilor Delicio and then Dolan.
Thank you, President Cooper. First of all, congratulations on the home. Congratulations on the nuptials.
Thank you.
Before I get to my question, a piece of marital advice as I'm about to celebrate my 20th. Remember the date, man. Remember the date.
I know, you're right.
But that being said, so what part of the zoo exactly is the ceremony going to be taking place at?
We have the whole zoo, but the area where we're going to have a tent set up is to the left of the entrance, kind of in front of where the Lemur Island area is. There's a big grassy area.
Great. Yeah, excellent. Well, best of luck. I think this is a creative use of the zoo.
Thank you. I used to work at Roger Williams Park Zoo, and also I used to work at SeaWorld actually, and all the private events that they would do there really did generate a lot of money for the nonprofit, and for the town. So
absolutely,
good revenue stream.
The zoo can definitely use it, especially the year of the pandemic. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Dolan.
Hi, thanks. So I do have, I don't know if anybody else has this with their paperwork, but I do have the use of grounds permit, which is signed by the police department. I don't know whose signature it is. I can't read it, but I would certainly be happy to reach out to Chief Hagney, to see if he's aware and if there's any issues that he feels. But I do have that paperwork here and everything seems to be in order. So I guess really all I have to say is good luck, and I hope you have a great time, and I wish you good luck in your marriage.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah, I just to Councilor Dolan, I do have that paperwork. We all do. I saw it. It's relatively benign though, and it doesn't say whether it's required or not, right? It just says that we've reviewed this, and that we specifically says that the permit shall be presented to any police officer upon demand, and it goes on, if that's what you're referring to. But I don't see that the chief specifically said that based on the number, based on the fact that this is a relatively new thing happening in the zoo, that he doesn't think a detail is warranted. And if he doesn't, that's his call.
Yeah.
But I really would like that to be very specific in this case. So I don't remember having granted a private party function in the zoo.
Right. I'll check in with him and I'll
That would be
report
great.
back.
That's all. It's
Yeah.
And I'm sure it's a simple thing for him, and he can make that call and he can change his mind, right? That's why he's the police chief. So
Yeah, I'll check in with him and report back to everybody.
awesome. Thank you. Any other questions, Councilor Blair, and then Vice President Jackson?
Mark, the
Yes.
second page of that application, do you have that?
I do.
It says, where did I say I read that just before. I just ran and grabbed it. I thought this.
It does say, Peter, it does say that it's been reviewed. There is a signature, but it doesn't say whether or not he's going to require the detail. That's all I want to know. It says he can do it.
I knew I read something on there about it, and I just
Mm-hmm.
was curious if you got lost in the second page or something.
No, I saw it, and I saw that there, but it's really not specific saying, yes, I
Okay.
want the detail, or no, I don't think it's necessary.
Thank you. Sorry to bother you.
No problem, no bother. Any additional questions? Oh, Vice President Jackson, I'm sorry. You're muted, Kate.
Adam, I wish you the very best in your wedding.
Thank you. We wanted to say too, we were hoping we could close with you guys by saying you're all invited. If you're around, we're gonna have a ton of food and hopefully an open bar. So feel free to come by.
Great, thank you. Any additional questions for the applicants? Again, thank you, guys. We'll reach out if we have any additional questions.
Thank you.
Great. Should we hear back in the next week or two, or?
As soon as it moves through the committee, which I'm hoping will be next week.
Okay.
Then the following week, the full council would vote, and then you would you'd hear from Counselor Dolan. I'm sure you're anxious, so I'm sure she wants to alleviate any of your anxiety, and we'll call you with updates along the way if she needs to.
The only problem, President Cooper, is this is a 5 Tuesday month, so it'll be the first Tuesday in April with a full council vote.
No, it could, oh, right. It won't be till April 6th.
Yeah, we'll get voted out of committee next week probably, and then April
On the
6th.
23rd, it won't be till April 6th to be granted.
Okay, we'll
At the
check back in
earliest.
if we don't hear soon after that.
Sure, no problem.
Great. Thank you everyone for reviewing it.
Good catch, Steve. I forgot about that lovely
you.
fifth Tuesday that we've all come to love. Any additional, anyone else here to speak in favor? Is there anyone here to speak in opposition? Anyone here to speak in opposition? Anyone neither for nor against? Councilor Dolan, do you see any reason to keep this public hearing open?
I do not.
That public hearing is closed. Mr. Withers, would you kindly read the notice of the next public hearing?
Yes, the next public hearing is regarding the city's capital improvements program for fiscal years 2022 to 2026.
Great, thank you. Is there anyone here to speak in favor? I see Jack Jacoby's hand raised. We're all getting to be Zoom wizards here.
Hi,
Hi, Jack.
Jack Jacoby here, Chairman of the Municipal Building Commission, 15 Prince Street. Not speaking in my capacity as chairman, but I am speaking as a private citizen. First of all, I absolutely applaud all of the efforts that we make to adopt the capital improvements budget. And I don't mean this as a criticism of anyone, because I know how hard Gary Arasian and all the other department heads work on putting this together. But I just wanted to caution the council that the numbers that you see attached to some of these projects are traditionally understated. What we find is that department heads don't take into account the inflation that occurs, the cost of doing prevailing wage jobs, the cost of professional advice, architects, engineers. And so while the Municipal Building Commission remains ready, willing, and able to handle any of the projects that you and the mayor should assign to us, just want to caution that you should take the numbers that are attached to any project with a grain of salt. Just as an example, I was talking to Councilman Waterman today, excuse me, Councilor, I want to be correct here. And we were reminiscing about the fact that the gym floors at one time were looked to be 150,000 and now they're up to 700,000. So just want to be cautionary that we be realistic when we pick projects off of this budget to execute, that we understand that the cost is probably more than someone has estimated.
Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Jacoby at this time? Jack, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Is there anyone else here to speak in favor? Anyone to speak in opposition? Anyone here to speak in opposition? Anyone here neither for nor against? Okay, Council Conti, do you see any reason to keep this public hearing open?
Do not. I wish to close it.
Thank you. That public hearing is also closed, and we will go on to, as soon as I flip my papers back, the mayor's communication. You should have received 3 of them. And some of the back and forth emails today, I apologize, were because I didn't get a chance to meet with the mayor. I did have to do some communicating by email with him. So part of the back and forth was because of me.
So please bear with me. There's a lot of reading here. So March
Steve,
16th.
we're gonna waive 16 and 18. You can waive the reading of those if everyone else is in agreement.
Okay. Very good. March 16th, 2021, dear municipal councilors, I respectfully submit a communication from Fire Chief Scott D. LaChance regarding the need for funds to make contractual payments for employees that completed pre-approved college courses. Therefore, I hereby request your honorable body transfer of $5,000 from account Citywide Reserve Fund for transfer to account Fire College Credits. Upon approval, the available balance in the Reserve Fund for transfer to include any pending request will be $60,675.05. Copies in your packets.
Public Safety and Emergency Management Committee, please.
I respectfully submit a communication from Fire Chief Scott T. LaChance regarding the need for funds to cover the cost of dispatcher overtime for the remainder of fiscal year 2021. Therefore, I hereby request your honorable body appropriate $45,000 from account undesignated fund balance free cash general government to account fire dispatcher overtime. Copies in your packets.
Public Safety and Emergency Management Committee, please.
I respectfully submit a communication from Fire Chief Scott T. LaChance regarding the need for funds to cover the cost of sick leave incentive payments for the remainder of fiscal year 2021. Therefore, I hereby request your honorable body appropriate $15,702.03 from account undesignated fund balance free cash general government to account fire severance sick incentive. Copies in your packets.
Public Safety and Emergency Management Committee, please.
I respectfully submit a communication from Fire Chief Scott T. LaChance regarding the receipt of an Emergency Management Performance Grant from the Massachusetts Emergency Management Agency, or MEMA, of $15,500. These funds may be utilized for emergency management related activities and equipment procurement. The funds provided through this grant will be utilized to procure a mobile skid unit with a 250-gallon water tank, 2 horsepower pump, hoses, and nozzles. The total cost for this equipment will be $18,134. Therefore, acceptance of this grant will require $2,634 in additional funds from the city. In accordance with Chapter 1, Section 12 of the revised ordinance of the City of Attleboro, I hereby request your honorable body approve expending of such funds in any future grant amendments. Additionally, I hereby request your honorable body transfer $2,634 from account Citywide Reserve Fund for transfer to account Fire Mini Apparatus. Upon approval, the available balance in Reserve Fund for transfer will be, to include any pending requests, will be $58,041.05. Copies in your packets.
Public Safety and Emergency Management Committee, please.
I respectfully submit a communication from City Treasurer Laura Gignac regarding the need for funds to purchase a new copy machine. The current copy machine in this office has reached the end of its useful life, and parts are hard to obtain to repair the ongoing issues. Therefore, I hereby request your honorable body transfer $4,520.73 from account Citywide Reserve Fund for transfer to account Citywide Copiers. Upon approval, the available balance in Reserve Fund for transfer to include any pending requests will be $53,520.32. Copies in your packets.
City Property and Claims Committee, please.
I respectfully submit a communication from Director of Planning and Development, Gary Arazian, regarding the need for funds to purchase an adjustable desk riser for an employee. Therefore, I hereby request your honorable body transfer $119 from account Citywide Reserve Fund for transfer to account Planning and Land Use Supplies Office Equipment. Upon approval, the available balance in Reserve Fund for transfer to include any pending requests will be $53,401.32. Copies in your package.
City Property and Claims Committee, please.
I respectfully submit a communication from Superintendent of Water, Courtney Wunschel, regarding the need for funds to replace 4 filter effluent valves and controllers at the West Street plant. The 4 filter effluent valves and controllers are original to the plant construction in the mid-1990s. This project is on the fiscal year 2022 to 2026 capital improvement plan for the Water Department. Therefore, I hereby request your honorable body transfer $13,700 from account Water Enterprise Fund Reserve Fund for transfer to account Water Enterprise Fund other financing uses, and further transfer $13,700 from account Water Enterprise Fund other financing uses to fund effluent valves other financing sources. Additionally, I hereby request your honorable body appropriate $65,000 from account Water Enterprise Fund retained earnings to fund effluent valves. Copies in your packets.
Public Works Committee, please.
I respectfully submit for confirmation by your honorable body the appointment of Aretha Weedbrook Still, 41 Knott Street, to fill an expired term on the Disability Commission. Term to expire February 2024. Copies in your packets.
Personnel, Veterans, and Human Services Committee.
I respectfully submit a communication from Chief of Police Kyle Hagney regarding the need for funds to repair the air conditioning system in the police station. Therefore, I hereby request your honorable body transfer $4,127.92 from account citywide reserve fund for transfer to account police maintenance of building. Upon approval, the available balance in the reserve fund for transfer, to include any pending requests, will be $49,273.92. Copies in your packets.
Capital Improvements Committee, please.
I respectfully submit a communication from Superintendent of Water, Courtney Wunschel, regarding the need to replenish funds used for the unexpected needs from the leak detection account. Therefore, I hereby request your honorable body transfer $25,000 from account Water Enterprise Fund Reserve Fund for transfer to account Water Enterprise Fund leak detection. Upon approval, the available balance in the reserve fund for transfer will be $3,974.67. Copies in your packets.
Public Works Committee, please.
I respectfully submit a communication from Superintendent of Public Works, Michael Tyler, regarding the need for funds to purchase a heavy-duty scanner and diagnostic tool. Currently, we send vehicles from the fleet to an external vendor 15 to 20 times per year, costing $100 to $500 per trip to determine what needs to be done. The purchase of this tool will not only quickly pay for itself in a few short years, but it will also increase productivity because of the ability to quickly turn around a needed repair and get the vehicle back to work in a shorter amount of time than would otherwise have happened without this tool. Therefore, I hereby request your honorable body appropriate $18,326 from account undesignated fund balance free cash general government to account Public Works small equipment. Copies in your packets.
Public Works Committee, please.
I respectfully submit a communication from Legal Secretary Allison Wood regarding equipment that the Water Department would like to declare as surplus. Therefore, I hereby request your honorable body to declare the following as surplus and available for disposition.
Steve,
Copies
we're
in
going
your
to
packets.
we've waived the reading of those items.
Okie doke. City property, right?
That is correct. City Property and Claims Committee. Yep.
Okay. I respectfully submit a communication from Veterans Agent Ben Quell regarding the donation of $50 in Stop and Shop gift cards from Laurie Scales. This donation was given as part of Random Act of Kindness to celebrate Gus in honor of World Down Syndrome Day on March 21st. In accordance with Section 1-12 of the revised ordinances of the City of Attleboro, I hereby request your honorable body to accept these generous donations to the City of Attleboro. Copies in your packets.
Personnel, Veterans, and Human Services Committee, please.
I respectfully submit a communication from Attleboro Public Schools Director of Finance Mark Furtado regarding a fiscal year 20 invoice from City of Attleboro Police in the amount of $440 that was not received in time to be processed in the normal fiscal year 20 business cycle. Therefore, I hereby request your honorable body to authorize the school department to pay this previous year's school bill. Copies in your packets.
Budget and Appropriations Committee, please.
I respectfully submit a communication from City Auditor Deborah Gould regarding the amount due from the city to the school department under a memorandum of understanding on the revenue sharing agreement for the Medicaid reimbursement program. Therefore, I respectfully request your honorable body appropriate $55,218.59 from account undesignated fund balance free cash general government to account school appropriation Medicaid to fund the municipal sharing agreement. Copies in your packets.
Budget and Appropriations Committee, please.
And I'm not reading 16.
16 is just the first sentence, Steve, would be good.
I respectfully submit a communication from City Auditor Deborah Gould requesting to close fund 3215 cap/demo old landfill. Want me to keep going?
No, I don't, but I don't remember who has had the landfill issues in their committees in the past. I think it was Richard. Council Conti, did you have the capping things in capital improvements and city
It's a
development?
dim memory, but I believe you're correct.
Okay, capital improvements and city development committee, please.
Okay. I respectfully submit a communication from Director of Planning and Development, Gary Arazian, regarding the need for funds of a professional engineering and land surveying company to prepare a Mass General Law 41, Section 81P plan, also known as Form A plan, along with a meters and bounds legal description and related services. The purpose of the Mass General Law, Chapter 41, Section 81P plan is to subdivide an approximately 4-acre parcel of land that would include the banquet hall along with the rear parking lot and some adjoining land located at Highland Park and Mechanic Street. Therefore, I hereby request your honorable body transfer $3,540 from account Citywide Reserve Fund for transfer to account Planning and Land Use Professional Services. Upon approval, the available balance in reserve fund for transfer to include any pending requests will be $45,733.40. Copies in your packets.
Zoning and Land Use Committee, please.
I respectfully submit a communication from City Auditor Deborah Gould requesting to properly close out several completed school department capital projects.
Budget and Appropriations Committee, please.
I respectfully submit a communication from Director of Budget and Administration Jeremy Stull regarding the need for funds for the design portion of the fire department roof replacement. Therefore, I hereby request your honorable body appropriate $50,000 from account undesignated fund balance free cash general government to fund fire department roofs. Copies in your packets.
Capital Improvements Committee, please.
Sincerely, Paul Harut, Mayor.
Thank you.
All right.
Number two.
Number two, March 16th, 2021. Number two, dear municipal councilors. I respectfully submit a communication from Director of Recreation Dennis Walls regarding the need for funds to repair the gates at Briggs Pool and Spatcher Pool, and also to repair the Hillwood Field backstop. Therefore, I hereby request your honorable body transfer $4,885 from account Recreation Salary and Wages to account Recreation Maintenance of Recreational Areas. Copies in your packets.
Public Works Committee, please.
Sincerely, Paul Harut.
Thank you. And on to number three.
All right, March 16th, 2021. Number three, dear municipal councilors. I respectfully submit a communication from Health Agent Jessica Horstman regarding the regional COVID vaccination site. The Health Department received notification on March 16th that Attleboro, Fall River, Taunton, Somerset, and Swansea were approved in collaboration for a regional COVID vaccination site to administer 750 COVID vaccinations 5 days per week. Excuse me. Although we have not received the award yet, funds for these clinics will be reimbursable under FEMA grant funding. In accordance with Chapter 1, Section 12 of the revised ordinances of the City of Attleboro, I hereby request your honorable body approve expending of such funds in any future grant amendments. Any additional information on this grant will be sent to your honorable body once it is received. In accordance with Article 2, Section 2-9B of the City Charter of the City of Attleboro, I respectfully request your honorable body to consider this as an emergency measure. Copies in your packets.
Now, Veterans and Human Services Committee, please.
Sincerely, Paul Harut, Mayor.
Thank you. And moving on to the clerk's communication.
We received a scrap metal recycler junk dealer license application from Polarized New England Company, LLC, doing business as Schnitzer Northeast at 136 Bacon Street.
License Committee, please.
We received the planning board vote of 4 yeas, 3 nays in favor of performing on the tripartite security agreement held by the city to complete tasks in the subdivision Rolling Hills Phase 6.
That was an FYI, but also I'm going to assign that to the Zoning and Land Use Committee, please.
Okay. We also received a planning board vote of 7 yeas, 0 nays in favor of performing the tripartite security agreement held by the city to complete tasks at the subdivision Dale Court Extension.
Also, FYI and Zoning and Land Use Committee, please.
We received a letter from Ted Sharon with concerns about changing the wetland buffer from 25 feet to 75 feet.
Ordinance Committee, please.
And we received a letter from Timothy Caponegro, Woodlark Development Corp. Regarding the Wetland Protection Amendment proposal.
Ordinance Committee, please.
That is all.
Thank you. At this time, I'd entertain a motion to enter Committee of the Whole.
Second.
Motions in order, any questions? Seeing none, a roll call vote will begin with Councilor Blair.
Mr. Blair.
Yes.
Ms. DeSimone.
Yes.
Mr. Conti.
Yes.
Mr. Waterman.
Yes.
Vice President Jackson.
Yes.
Mr. Delisio.
Yes.
Mr. Cobus.
Yes.
Ms. Dolan.
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds.
Yes.
Ms. Holmes.
Yes.
President Cooper.
Yes.
11 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you. Motion passes. We are now in Committee of the Whole. If there is anyone on the Zoom that would like to address the council on any matter of city business, now's the time to do so. All right. At this time, I would entertain a motion to arise.
Second.
Thank you. Motion's in order. A roll call vote will begin with Councilor Holmes.
Ms. Holmes,
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds,
Yes.
Ms. Dolan,
Yes.
Mr. Cobus,
Yes.
Mr. Delissio,
Yes.
Vice President Jackson,
Yes.
Mr. Waterman,
Yes.
Mr. Conti,
Yes.
Ms. DeSimone,
Yes.
Mr. Blair,
Yes.
President Cooper.
Yes.
11 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you. Motion passes. At this time, we'll go on to committee reports, beginning with Councilor Blair. But I have to get myself in order here. Okay.
Public Safety Emergency Management has no business to bring forward this evening, but will request a committee meeting at the next appropriate time.
Thank you. Councilor DeSimone.
Thank you, President Cooper. Transportation and Traffic has 2 items this evening, if I may. First, I move to strike the following from the docket of January 7, 2020, to install a solar flashing sign southbound on Slater Street before Augsburg Drive. Additionally, request that the administration provide funding for the light.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Motion is in order. Any additional comments?
I have none, President Cooper.
A roll call vote will begin with Councilor Blair.
Mr. Blair,
Yes.
Ms. DeSimone,
Yes.
Mr. Conti,
Yes.
Mr. Waterman,
Yes.
Vice President Jackson. I'm sorry.
Yes.
Oh, thank you. Mr. Delissio. Mr. Delissio. Mr. Delissio.
Looks like he's off.
Mr. Cobus,
Yes.
Ms. Dolan,
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds,
Yes.
Ms. Holmes,
Yes.
President Cooper.
Yes.
10 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Thank you. Next, I move to strike the following from the docket of November 5th, 2019. A letter from Miss Redland Zioli of Augsburg Drive about difficulties exiting to Slater Street. The letter was dated 10/15/19.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Motion's in order. Any additional comments?
None, President Cooper.
Thank you. A roll call vote will begin with Council Holmes.
Ms. Holmes,
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds,
Yes.
Ms. Dolan,
Yes.
Mr. Cobus,
Yes.
Mr. Delissio,
Yes.
Vice President Jackson,
Yes.
Mr. Waterman,
Yes.
Mr. Conti,
Yes.
Ms. DeSimone,
Yes.
Mr. Blair,
Yes.
President Cooper.
Yes.
11 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Thank you, President Cooper. That concludes the business of the Transportation and Traffic Committee meeting this evening. We look forward to a committee meeting at the next appropriate time.
Thank you. Councilor Conti.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you.
Reporting for capital improvements in city development. I have one motion for the council this evening from the docket of March 16th, 2021. I move to approve the expending of the Reimagined Streets Grant through MassDOT in the amount of approximately $122,149.50 awarded to the city for the Shared Winter Streets and Spaces program, which will be used to improve the alleyway between Bank Street and Academy Street near the Sanford Street Municipal Garage. In approving the expenditures of these funds, I also move to approve any future grant amendments.
Second.
Thank you. Motion is in order. Any comments or questions?
Yes, Mr. President, I'll repeat what I said in front of the committee this evening because I don't think anyone was attending. This is a wonderful project that is 100% funded by a grant from MassDOT. There were some questions, and the questions: who's going to pay for the electricity? It's going to be the city. Do we have buy-in support from the adjacent businesses? When I met with Catherine Fierick, the list was so long that I didn't have an opportunity to write them all down. But it's an absolute yes. Every business is excited about this, all the abutters. And the third question was: there expected to be an annual maintenance fee for this park, and the most expensive component in maintenance is going to be snow removal, and the snow removal is still being worked out. It may be that this park is not cleared out of snow as fast as all the rest of the streets in the city, but it'll be hopefully a year-round park. The budget of $122,149.50 is all covered by the grant. There was talk about a mosaic to be on one wall, a large ceramic mosaic, much like what you saw in the city of Pompeii, which would be weatherproof and last a long time. However, the grant did not cover that, and so it was removed from the budget. And the plan for the walkway leaves room for lots of plants and benches and room for venues, which can also be seen from the Sanford Garage, almost like a stadium-like setting, so that if there's a music group, you could go into the parking garage, go up to the top floor, look over the edge and see all the people down below in the alleyway. It's quite nice. And that concludes my comments.
Thank you. Any additional, Councilor Blair and then Councilor Cobus?
Excuse me, the maintenance on this, as you realize with any grant we get comes a hidden cost somewhere. So I'm assuming there's going to be a daily cleanup in there unless it's shut down like the park is at sunset to sunrise or something. There's going to be a daily cleanup. I mean, that's goes without saying. So I just want to remind my fellow councilors that with every grant comes a little something, even if it isn't direct money to do it. There's a maintenance situation and keeping it clean. So
Yes, and I'm sorry, I don't want to interrupt you. Are you done?
Excuse me?
You all set? I didn't want to interrupt you. I was going to respond
No,
to you.
I'm all set.
Okay, Mr. President, the committee understands that there will be an ongoing maintenance. However, the plantings are meant to be a low maintenance planting that would not cause stress on the Parks and Forestry Department. And the area is intended to be well lit so that it will hopefully not be abused. But the Councilor Blair is correct. There will be an ongoing maintenance fee year round to keep the park clean, much like the parks where there will be waste containers that need to be emptied, etc.
Thank you. Any additional comment? Councilor Cobus, did you?
I just wanted to say thank you to Councilor Conti for getting the answers to those questions. Those align with my expectations, and as a result, I'm incredibly supportive of this. I think it's a great thing, and applaud the city for finding this grant. So that concludes my comments.
Thank you. Any additional comments? Seeing none, a roll call vote will begin with Councilor Blair. Sorry, Steve, you were muted.
Mr. Blair,
Yes.
Ms. DeSimone,
Yes.
Mr. Conti,
Yes.
Mr. Waterman,
Yes.
Vice President Jackson,
Yes.
Mr. Delisio,
Yes.
Mr. Cobus,
Yes.
Ms. Dolan,
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds,
Yes.
Ms. Holmes,
Yes.
President Cooper,
Yes.
11 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Thank you, Mr. President. That concludes the business that the Capital Improvements and City Development Committee has to bring before the council this evening. We look forward to a meeting at the next appropriate time.
Thank you. Councilor Waterman.
Yes, point of order, President Cooper, would you want the emergency at this time, emergency measure, or later?
Yeah, you can do your regular motions first and then do the emergency.
Okay, thank you. So from the Personnel, Veterans, and Human Services Committee, from the docket of March 16th, 2021, I move to transfer $28,800 of fiscal year 2021 local cultural council funds from Massachusetts Cultural Council to the Attleboro Cultural Council and approve expending funds in any future grant amendments.
Second.
Thank you. Motion is in order. Any additional questions or comments?
This is typical of any year, and this is wonderful news that we're talking about cultural council funds. It's terrific.
Great. Any other questions? Seeing none, a roll call vote is required. We'll begin with, I believe, Councilor Blair.
Council Holmes,
Councilor Holmes.
Ms. Holmes,
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds,
Yes.
Ms. Dolan,
Yes.
Mr. Cobus,
Yes.
Mr. Delisio,
Yes.
Vice President Jackson,
Yes.
Mr. Conti,
Yes.
Ms. DeSimone,
Yes.
Mr. Blair,
Yes.
President Cooper.
Yes,
Did I miss Mr. Waterman?
Yes.
I think you did.
It's a
Sorry.
yes.
11 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you.
I took my glasses off.
I do the same.
I'll put them back
From
on.
the docket of March 16th, 2021, I move to confirm the following reappointment for the positions and terms as indicated. 3 people: Lisa Nelson, appointed to the Board of Assessors for a 3-year term expiring February 2024. Barbara Clark to the Council on Human Rights, 3 years, February 2024 expiration, and Greg Withers to the Council on Substance Abuse Prevention, a 3-year term, also February 2024.
Second.
Thank you. Motion's in order. Any additional comments?
No, they're all excellent candidates and they're very happy to continue serving.
Thank you. A roll call vote will begin with Councilor Blair.
Mr. Blair.
Yes.
Ms. DeSimone.
Yes.
Mr. Conti.
Yes.
Mr. Waterman.
Yes.
Vice President Jackson.
Yes.
Mr. Delissio.
Yes.
Mr. Cobus.
Yes.
Ms. Dolan.
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds.
Yes.
Ms. Holmes.
Yes.
President Cooper.
Yes,
11 yeas, 0 nays.
thank you. Motion passes.
And from the docket also of March 16th, 2021, I move to approve the appointment of Cynthia Lawrence, 85 Old Farm Lane, to fill an expired term on the Board of Library Trustees, term to expire February of 2024.
Second.
Second.
Thank you. Motion is in order. Any additional comments or questions?
Cynthia is very well qualified, and I'm sure she'll make an excellent trustee.
Roll call vote will begin with Councilor Holmes.
Ms. Holmes.
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds.
Yes.
Ms. Dolan.
Yes.
Mr. Cobus.
Yes.
Mr. Delissio.
Yes.
Vice President Jackson.
Yes.
Mr. Waterman.
Yes.
Mr. Conti.
Yes.
Ms. DeSimone.
Yeah.
Mr. Blair.
Yes.
President Cooper.
Yes,
11 yeas, 0 nays.
thank you. Motion passes.
And also from the docket of March 16th, 2021, I move to approve the expending of grant funds of the SHINE program received by the Council on Aging from the State Office of Elder Affairs in the amount of approximately $70,580, and to approve spending of these funds and any future grant amendments.
Second.
Thank you. Motion's in order. Any additional comments?
This is a wonderful program. We do it every year. And so we're used to receiving this grant. And I'm thankful we got it.
Exactly. Thank you. Roll call vote will begin with Councilor. Councilor Delissio. Sorry about that.
If I could, through the president to Council Waterman. Council, sorry I didn't ask this last week. I know this is one of those grants that we look forward to every year. We hope it comes through. We never necessarily know if it's going to. I know we're on our 34th, 35th year with it. Do you know, is the amount higher this year than it was last year, or did that amount decrease?
You know, I don't know. I didn't check last year's. I'm sorry.
All right, no, I was just wondering, because
I know that our director was pleased with the amount that we got. That's all I know.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Any additional questions or comments? Seeing none, a roll call vote will begin with Councilor Blair.
Mr. Blair.
Yes.
Ms. DeSimone.
Yes.
Mr. Conti.
Yes.
Mr. Waterman.
Yes.
Vice President Jackson.
Yes.
Mr. Delissio.
Yes.
Mr. Cobus.
Yes.
Ms. Dolan.
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds.
Yes.
Ms. Holmes.
Yes.
President Cooper.
Yes,
11 yeas, 0 nays.
thank you. Motion passes.
And also from the docket of March 16th, 2021, I move to adopt the following emergency preamble. That the Attleboro Municipal Council vote to take an action as provided in the city charter, section 2-9, section B, regarding the emergency which presently exists. To approve the expenditure of the FEMA grant and any future grant amendments to fund a collaborative regional COVID vaccination site. Although the city was informed today and has not received the award yet, funds for these clinics will be reimbursable under FEMA's grant funding. Additional information will be provided once it is received.
Second.
Thank you. Motion is in order. Any additional comments on the emergency preamble? Counselor Waterman.
Yes, maybe I should just share a little. I want to give Jessica Horseman, our health agent, great credit for this. She helped us join in with Fall River, Taunton, Somerset, and Swansea, I believe, to form a regional site as a collaborative to be able to dispense up to, I think,
So
700.
Ty, I just want to
You don't
stop.
want all that?
I do want
Okay.
all that, but I don't want it right now. Right now, we're
Okay.
talking about, is this an emergency? And I don't think anybody would argue that it wasn't.
It is an emergency.
So, but please save your comments for when you get to the main motion.
I will.
Thank you. Anyone else comments on the emergency preamble? Seeing none, a roll call vote will begin with Councilor Holmes.
Ms. Holmes,
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds,
Yes.
Ms. Dolan.
Yes.
Mr. Cobus,
Yes.
Mr. Delissio,
Yes.
Vice President Jackson,
Yes.
Mr. Waterman,
Yes.
Mr. Conti,
Yes.
Ms. DeSimone,
Yes.
Mr. Blair,
Yes.
President Cooper,
Yes,
11 yeas, 0 nays.
thank you. Motion passes. On to the next motion.
And from the docket of March 16th, 2021, I move to approve the request of the mayor as an emergency measure for the expenditure of the FEMA grant, which the city was informed of March 16th, 2021, for a regional COVID vaccination site, and approve the expenditure of any future grant amendments.
Second.
Thank you. Motion is in order. Councilor Waterman.
Well, I think I said most of what I was going to say. So we will be joining with those cities and towns. Our share will be 1 day a week. I could say the day, but days tend to change, and it's not immediate. It's a few weeks away from what I understand today that we would begin. And the state has approved it very recently. And we've been waiting 3 weeks, and finally we were approved. And we will be setting up Attleboro's site 1 day a week at La Salette. And we'll be able to give at least, well, up to, I think it's 750 vaccines each week, as long as we can do this.
Great. Any additional questions or comments? Vice President Jackson.
Yeah. Council Waterman, that has not been confirmed, correct?
I received a phone call today from Jessica Horseman at 3:30 telling me it was confirmed.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Any additional questions or comments? Seeing none, a roll call vote will begin with Councilor Blair.
Mr. Blair,
Yes.
Ms. DeSimone,
Yes.
Mr. Conti,
Yes.
Mr. Waterman,
Yes.
Vice President Jackson,
Yes.
Mr. Delissio,
Yes.
Mr. Cobus,
Yes.
Ms. Dolan,
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds,
Yes.
Ms. Holmes,
Yes.
President Cooper,
Yes,
11 yeas, 0 nays.
thank you. Motion passes.
Thank you. And that concludes the business of the Personnel, Veterans, and Human Services Committee. I'll call for the next committee meeting at the next appropriate time.
Great, thank you.
Welcome.
Vice President Jackson,
Thank you.
welcome.
Reporting from the Public Works Committee from the docket of March 16, 2021, I move to approve the transfer of $7,500 from the account Citywide Reserve Fund for Transfer account to the Recreation Maintenance of Recreation Areas account for Nickerson Field work on courts.
Second.
Thank you.
Thank you. Motion is in order. Any additional comments?
No, they're going to redo this court so that they can add a pickleball court to the Nickerson courts.
Any additional comments? Seeing none, a roll call vote will begin with Councilor Holmes.
Ms. Holmes,
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds,
Yes.
Ms. Dolan,
Yes.
Mr. Cobus,
Yes.
Mr. Delissio,
yes,
Vice President Jackson,
Yes.
Mr. Waterman,
Yes.
Mr. Conti,
Yes.
Ms. DeSimone,
Yes.
Mr. Blair,
Yes.
President Cooper.
Yes,
11 yeas, 0 nays.
thank you. Motion passes.
Thank you. From the docket of March 16th, 2021, I move to appropriate $1,205,803 and any other future grant amendments into Fund 3108, Chapter 90 projects for the purpose of funding Chapter 90 eligible projects as approved by the Massachusetts Department of Transportation, Mass DOT.
second,
Thank you. Motion is in order. Any additional comments?
The only thing, we do this every year, and this is approximately the same amount of money that we get every year from Mass DOT.
Great. Thank you. Any additional questions or comments? Councilor Blair?
When I first come on this council some 22 years ago, we did as much work with what we got then, and the amount then was, give or take a few thousand, from 400,000 a year. So it goes to show you how stuff is accelerated in price. So it wasn't until a few years ago we actually hit the $1 million mark, but it's the cost of doing that is just skyrocketed. It seems like a lot of money, but start paving the street and you'll see how fast it goes.
It is a lot of money, Miss Council Blair, but also look at the cost of gas.
Oh yeah, everything. That's what I'm saying. It seems like a lot of money, Kate, but originally when I chaired that committee, when I first come on the council, that figure was around $400,000 a year, and we thought that was a lot of money back then.
Great. Any additional, Councilor Conti?
So 3 years ago, when Lance Hill was the superintendent of public works, he had a study that was commissioned by the state that stated that our roads had $2.9 million shortage in annual funding just to keep the roads in the same condition from year to year to year. I'm shuddered to think of what that number is now. Building materials went up 40% in the fourth quarter. Gas is rising. That means asphalt's going to be rising. And our roads are deteriorating just as fast. Last week, you heard, if you were listening to the Capital Improvement City Development Committee, we came to the conclusion that a asphalt pavement for the recreation department had an expected life of 15 years. I suspect that's also true of roadways. So when you think about the 129 miles of roads that are in the city and them being to be replaced every 15 years, $1.2 million comes far short of what we need to keep the roads in as good a condition as we do. The problem, of course, is a source of funding to be able to fund that Chapter 90 projects to the level that they should be. I'm eagerly looking for ways to do that, because I think that part of the capital improvement program should be an expansion of the funds for these projects on the roadways. And that concludes my project. That concludes my comments.
Thank you, Councilor Conti. I would have been disappointed if you didn't say it this year, because you say it every year. I look forward to it. You had a little more finesse this year, because generally you say it's $1.2 million, but we're about $3 million short of being able to keep our roads as bad as they are today. It's generally is what sticks in my head. So I appreciate your comments on this every year. It simply reinforces that $1.2 million is nice, but it's not enough. Any additional comments? Seeing none, a roll call vote, I think was Councilor Blair, Steve?
Yes. Mr. Blair,
Yes.
Ms. DeSimone,
Yes.
Mr. Conti,
Yes.
Mr. Waterman,
Yes.
Vice President Jackson,
Yes.
Mr. Delissio,
yes,
Mr. Cobus,
Yes.
Ms. Dolan,
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds,
Yes.
Ms. Holmes,
Yes.
President Cooper.
Yes.
11 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Thank you. From the docket of February 16, 2021, I move to approve the application from National Grid for a new pole and anchor to service a new residential customer at 35 Lathrop Drive. The public hearing was held on March 2nd, 2021.
Second,
Thank you. Motion is in order. Any additional comments?
I do not.
Thank you. A roll call vote will begin with Council Holmes.
Ms. Holmes,
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds,
Yes.
Ms. Dolan.
Yeah.
Mr. Cobus,
Yes.
Mr. Delissio,
yes.
Vice President Jackson,
Yes.
Mr. Waterman,
Yes.
Mr. Conti,
Yes.
Ms. DeSimone,
Yes.
Mr. Blair,
Yes.
President Cooper.
Yes.
11 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Thank you. I have no further business this evening for the Public Works Committee, but I would like to call for a committee meeting at the appropriate time next week.
Thank you. Council Jackson, would you just take over for me? I just got to step away for 1 minute. And
Absolutely, President Cooper.
Councilor Delissio's next.
Thank you. Appropriations from the docket of March 16th, 2021. I move to appropriate $168,000 from account 1000-359,000 undesignated fund balance free cash general government to account 11000-595,010 assesses reevaluation to complete the fiscal 22 reevaluation of real and personal property.
Second.
Thank you. Any comments?
Thank you, Acting President Jackson. Yes, I want to thank the city assessor. We helped him coming down last week, speaking to us in committee, walking us through what this program entails. So I urge my fellow councilors to approve this.
Any comments or questions? Council Blair?
Jay, do you happen to know what's left in that free cash account?
I don't. I think we could actually take a look at what the communication said tonight. The last number on the communication would give us an indication where we're at.
That was the account that from money left over from last fiscal year. Is that where it's coming?
This is, yeah, the undesignated fund balance. I thought you were asking about the free cash. I apologize. I can get that. I'm meeting with Deb later in the week. I can get that for you for sure.
All right, thank you.
Any other questions or comments for Councilor Delisio? With none?
Starting with Mr. Blair.
Thank you.
Mr. Blair,
Yes.
Ms. DeSimone,
Yes.
Mr. Conti,
Yes.
Mr. Waterman,
Yes.
Vice President Jackson,
Yes.
Mr. Delissio,
Yes.
Mr. Cobus,
Yes.
Ms. Dolan,
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds,
Yes.
Ms. Holmes,
Yes.
and President Cooper, he's not here. So it's going to be 10 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you. Motion passes. Moving on, Councilor Delisio.
Thank you. From the docket of March 16th, 2021, I move to transfer $15,751.76 to account Cape Impact Sprinkler Fire Alarm System from the following. $12,100 from account Citywide Reserve Fund for Capital, $3,651.76 Citywide Reserve Fund for Transfer.
Second.
Thank you. Any comments?
I have none. Just want to thank Derek Corsi for coming down and talking to us about this important project.
Thank you, Councilor Delisio. Any other comments or questions for Councilor Delisio? None? Seeing none?
We'll start with Ms. Holmes.
The Withers?
Ms. Holmes,
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds. Sorry, you're muted.
Yes.
Thank you. Ms. Dolan,
Yes.
Mr. Cobus,
Yes.
Mr. Delissio,
Yes.
Vice President Jackson,
Yes.
Mr. Waterman,
Yes.
Mr. Conti,
Yes.
Ms. DeSimone,
Yes.
Mr. Blair,
Yes.
President Cooper, still not here, right? Okay, so we have 10 yeas, 0 nays.
Motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you. I am back.
Excellent. And that is all the business I have for budget appropriation, and we'll call for a meeting at the next appropriate time.
Thank you. Councilor Cobus.
Hello. For reporting for zoning and land use, we don't have any business to bring forward tonight, and I call for a committee meeting at the next appropriate time.
Great, thank you. Councilor Dolan.
Thank you. License Committee has no business tonight, and look forward to a committee meeting next week. Thank you.
Thank you. Counselor Reynolds.
City property, reporting for City Property and Claims Committee, we have one motion for this evening. I move to declare surplus and available for disposition the following two copiers: a Toshiba Studio 555 SE in poor condition, having made 855,263 copies with parts that are now unavailable. A Ricoh MP3351SP, 11 years old, in poor condition, having made 607,503 copies with parts unavailable.
Second.
Thank you. Motion's in order. Any additional questions or comments?
I have none.
Great, thank you. A roll call vote will begin with
Mr. Blair,
Counselor Blair.
Mr. Blair,
Yes.
Ms. DeSimone,
Yes.
Mr. Conti,
Yes.
Mr. Waterman,
Yes.
Vice President Jackson. Vice President Jackson.
Looks like she's stepped away, Steve.
Okay, no problem. Mr. Delissio,
Yes.
Mr. Cobus,
Yes.
Ms. Dolan,
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds,
Yes.
Ms. Holmes,
Yes.
President Cooper.
Yes,
10 yeas, 0 nays.
thank you. Motion passes.
That is all the business City Property and Claims has this evening, and I would like to call a committee meeting at the next appropriate time.
Excellent, thank you. Counselor Holmes.
Thank you. Ordinance, reporting for Ordinance, Elections, and Legislative Matters Committee. I have a lot of motions, but I'll start with something that I think is relatively easy. From the docket of March 16th, 2021, I move to call a public hearing on May 4th, 2021 for the proposed amendments to Chapter 18, Local Wetlands Protection Ordinance.
Second.
Thank you. Motion's in order. Any additional questions or comments?
This is just to call a public hearing, yeah.
Perfect, thank you. A roll call vote will begin with Counselor Holmes.
Yeah, just give me a second. Ms. Holmes,
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds,
Yes.
Ms. Dolan.
Yeah.
Mr. Cobus,
Yes.
Mr. Delissio,
Yes.
Vice President Jackson,
Yes.
Mr. Waterman,
Yes.
Mr. Conti,
Yes.
Ms. DeSimone,
Yes.
Mr. Blair,
Yes.
President Cooper.
Yes,
11 yeas, 0 nays.
thank you. Motion passes. Counselor Holmes, just before you go on to the other ordinances this evening, and I'm not certain what order you're planning to go in, but last week in the committee meetings for the water department ordinance changes, I believe those were done as one motion. With regard to the sewer, you did, I think it was 8 separate motions.
Mm-hmm.
Unless someone wants specific sections called out, I'm not opposed to doing it all at once, but I do have some, at least one change, not change, but one clarification in one of the motions. And, councilors can amend and do whatever they feel like they need to do, clearly, but I didn't want to have us to have to painfully go through 35 motions unless someone thought that was necessary. With regard to the wastewater motions, I think you do have to take them individually because that's how you did it in the committee. So I'll leave that up to you in presenting that to the council. So it's completely up to you. I'm not, like I said, I'm not opposed to lumping the changes together and working through any amendments or changes, but you will have to be specific on the section you want to amend.
Thank you. So from the docket of February 2nd, 2021, I move the request for revisions to the following: section 16-10 through 16-14 of the revised ordinance of the city of Attleboro. Delete section 16-10 water main installation and replace it with new water main and service installation.
Second.
I don't know who that was. Was that Kate?
Kate, yep.
Okay, thank you. Motion is in order. Any additional comments? Seeing none.
Oh,
President Cooper?
Yep. Council.
Thank you. So I'm going to ask for a little bit of leeway here, if you don't mind.
Sure.
Well, last week there was a lot of discussion on the effective dates of the following proposed changes. And I certainly understand for the water and the wastewater that the argument is roughly 10 years overdue, and the consumer ratepayer is subsidizing the difference, and that's a fact. However, the timing of this coming during a pandemic is tricky for sure, and we need to recognize both the strife that the consumer ratepayer and the businesses are struggling through right now. And businesses across the city have undergone major struggles throughout this pandemic, such as paying for their liquor license even when their restaurants were closed for months. My concern is that major increases in these areas, although mostly warranted, could cripple and in some cases put the businesses, some of these businesses out of business. And if this happens on a wide scale, which is very possible given what we're living through and what is on the horizon, the consumer ratepayer would end up subsidizing the difference in that scenario. This is a very similar conversation we have each fall relating to tax classification when deciding where the burden for the following year will fall. So listening to the conversations last week of should it be July 1st of this year, July 1st of next year, maybe other dates, I'm actually proposing that we compromise and we meet in the middle where I'd like to make an amendment, and where I need the leeway, President Cooper, is to see if I have to make it for every motion, all 8 motions, all including the water and wastewater, or if I can just do one, where I would like to amend the following amendment, where the effective date on all the following ordinances become effective January 1st of 2022.
second.
Okay, so let me comment on a motion is in order. As an amendment to the ordinance shall become effective immediately upon passage, and to change that to say this motion shall become effective January 1st, 2022. Is that correct, Councilor Delicio? So everyone understands where we're at. Okay. So I don't think you need to do each and every one. It appears as if Council Holmes brought this out as a single motion, which again is fine with me for section 16-10 through 16-14. The first amendment being proposed at this time is to move the effective date to January 1st, 2022. Councilor Delicio, does that answer your question?
Yes.
Okay, great. And Councilor Holmes, was that a safe assumption that you're doing this as one?
Yes.
Motion for those sections 10 through 14?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Any additional questions or comments on the amendment? Councilor DeSimone, I saw you first, and then Holmes, and then Blair.
Thank you, President Cooper. I would like to speak against this amendment, extending the effective date to January 1st of 2022. As I mentioned last week, I'd be inclined perhaps for 3 months, but in as much as this has been pending now for almost a year, I think there's been ample time. While I'm sympathetic to the concerns about businesses, I believe the superintendent of water clearly indicated that as it currently stands, the businesses are in fact bearing a significant part of the rates of the fees, if you will, as they are, perhaps unfairly bearing more than their burden. So I actually think it would hurt them more to let this linger and not increase the rates, because they are in fact just as much as you and I and the rest of us are subsidizing the lower fees. I think it actually harms them. So I would vote against an extension of that long, but be open to an extension of perhaps till June 1st of 2021. Thank you, President Cooper.
Thank you. Councilor Holmes.
Hello. So I think July 1st, it's because it's a fiscal year and it would be starting kind of fresh is what some people were thinking. And then the thought was maybe July 2022. And I think, so we're really talking about maybe 4 months compared to 8 months. I'm comfortable with it starting January 2022. And I think that if we don't really help businesses, we're just being kind of tone deaf to what's happening to them right now. And I think I understand that it has been lingering for some time, but there's some new circumstances that we have to include in this decision. So that concludes my comments. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Blair.
I echo Jay's comments. As you know, any of these fee increases without a proper, I know they're legal, so get me, without a proper public hearing, is not correct. So if we put these off a year, hopefully we get out of a situation we're in with the pandemic, things get somewhere back to normal or the new normal, and it gives these people time to adjust, these developers, in their pricing, get some things in order. I don't think a couple of 3 months is going to do that. So I would like to see it go with. I am going to vote with Jay's motion.
Thank you. Councilor Reynolds and then Dolan.
Yes, I'm going to vote with Councilor Delicio as well, because I think Councilor Conti said it perfectly, that it's clear that there's been a 40% increase in construction costs, which of course the builders have to deal with, and asphalt has increased tremendously. And the roadways, at least for most subdivisions, are almost 3,000 feet for a roadway in a subdivision. So that adds onto their costs, which they've never had before, a $12,000 increase. So I have no problems making this wait until January of 2022.
Thank you. Councilor Dolan.
Thank you. So I won't vote for this amendment. And it has been too long. It's been far too long. And when both superintendents were here, they made it clear that not only are the residents paying, but like Councilor DeSimone said, the businesses are paying, the school department's paying, the rec department's paying. Everybody is paying to subsidize new projects, and it's not right. And it's not right for the residents to pay for it. It's not right for any business to pay for it. So we should start July 1st, the new fiscal year. A year and a half is way too far out. Thank you.
Thank you. So the only comment I'm going to make is I can't wait till budget time, because I keep hearing the rate. So this should have an impact to the rate, right? If the first time in forever, the rate should go down, right? Ladies and gentlemen, it's never going to happen. Right? We're sitting here squawking about the rate, that this is killing the ratepayers. Oh my God. So I would expect a rate decrease in this next fiscal year. In fact, I'm looking forward to it. And that concludes my comments. Councilor Holmes.
Well, I just
Oh, no, I'm sorry. Councilor Blair and then Holmes. I'm sorry.
That's all right. Thanks, Jay. Thanks, Mark. If you remember when the school situation with the high school was going on, we all said, or we didn't say, I didn't all say, but it was a general sense of opinion that we build these schools, we're going to attract building in the city of Attleboro. People are going to come here because of our new high school, right? Now we don't want them here. We want to up the cost of coming here. I just can't understand it. Talk out of both sides of mouth is a norm. They say what they want to say at the time. We built this new school to attract bigger homes, more expensive homes, to help generate taxes. And now we want to boost them even higher. I don't know if the rest of you look at the transfers in the paper, but not too long ago, you could buy a house in Attleboro for a couple $100,000, $250. Look for one now. They're $350 and they need $100,000 worth of work. So we can't keep doing it. And if we put it off, these fees off, maybe it'll give the builders and developers a chance to catch up. So thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Holmes, and then Councilor DeSimone.
Thank you. So it's not, this is for 8 months versus potentially 4 months, because Councilor Dolan said like a year and a half, but really it's the difference between 4 months, which would start in July, or the new year, which would be 8 months. So it's not really that much of a difference that we're discussing right now. That concludes my comments.
Councilor DeSimone.
Oh, thank you, President Cooper. I cannot fathom the concern being extended to developers who, as far as I know, according to information I received from Bill McDonough, our building has been sustained throughout. I'm pretty sure that any costs that they incurred are in fact passed on to home buyers. I think that's obvious. It ain't coming out of their pockets. So I find this continuing concern with a handful of developers who have been pretty busy, as indicated by the building going on in the city and the prices of these homes. I simply don't have particular sympathy for them at this time, as much as I do for the people who are in fact subsidizing these rates, number one. And number two, as we all know, the costs incurred by the water and wastewater departments for the repairs and the equipment that they need are substantial. So I don't think that an increase in these fees indicates or necessitates a reduction in the rate when the stuff that they need to do what they have to do is incredibly expensive. And I'm hoping and thinking that these funds would go towards the purchase of some new and updated equipment in construction. So I simply cannot fathom this much consideration for the developers and neglecting everybody else in the city. That concludes my comments.
Thank you. Any additional comments? And this is on the amendment to January 1st. And a roll call vote will begin with Council Holmes, I believe.
Yeah, Ms. Holmes,
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds,
Yes.
Ms. Dolan,
No.
Mr. Cobus,
Yes.
Mr. Delissio,
Yes.
Vice President Jackson,
You're muted, Kate.
No.
no, okay. Mr. Waterman,
No.
Mr. Conti,
Yes.
Ms. DeSimone,
No.
Mr. Blair,
Yes.
President Cooper.
Yes.
1, 2, 3. We have 7 yeas and 4 nays.
Motion passes. So just before we get to any other potential amendments, I do have some housekeeping things that I'd like to address in this ordinance. Section 16-12.2 says excess over 500 cubic feet shall be charged a rate of $4.65, yet in parentheses is $5.06. What is it? $5.06 or $4.65? Currently, it says $5.06. I don't know why it's spelled out $4.65.
Which one's that, President Cooper?
16-11.2.
11, okay.
It says excess over 500 feet shall be charged a rate of $4.65, yet in parentheses is $5.06. And it currently reads in the ordinance $5.06. So while we're going through that, I have and then the after section 16-14.3, there's this language relative to the proposed fees increase, et cetera, goes on. There's several sentences there. That should come out. That's not part of the ordinance. That was information that was supplied by Courtney. Councilor DeSimone.
President Cooper, just in response, if I may, to your first question about the disparity between the written amount of $4.65 and the numerical amount of $5.06, I'm looking at a earlier version of the proposed amendments, and both the written and the numerical amount is $4.65.
So it went down.
If I'm reading this correctly, I'm looking at a version in the June 23rd committee minutes.
So this was brought down, so that was the ordinance that was originally brought down, then it was brought down again, if I may, President.
Sure, certainly, yes.
So the original, that's currently what we have is $4.65. That's the current amount. So I don't know if the administration meant to increase it and didn't write the words in. But the ordinance that's from June is from last year when it was brought down. So I would say that we need to decide, obviously, that the $4.65 is currently what we have as the ordinance.
No, what we currently have in the ordinance is $5.06.
Yeah.
Currently in the ordinance book online, as I read it, is
Why wasn't that picked up a long time ago?
an excess over, well, I don't know, but I just read it again tonight for about the 17th time, and I noticed that there was a discrepancy. So as I read everybody's, I read this and picked it up, and it was probably 6:30, and I didn't have an opportunity to contact Councilor Holmes or Virginia to ask the question, but it's something we ought to sort out. Either we stay with $5.06, which I'm perfectly content with, and if the mayor doesn't like that, he can send it down and change it. But online right now, I'm reading, and excess over 500 feet shall be charged for a rate of $5.06 in parentheses $5.06 per 100 cubic feet, effective July 1, 2020.
President Cooper?
Yes, Councilor Delissio.
Thank you. In the document, in the memo that Courtney sent down on January 14th of this year, it indicates the same way that the motion is written. So it's the way it came down. So it looks like a Scrivener's error from there that we've been going off of since the beginning. But I would be with you. I would say with the higher rate at this point.
Thank you. So could someone make the amendment to change the words to $5.06 as they are? Did I hear so moved?
So moved. Second.
Thank you. Motion is in order to amend of $4.65 to read as it does today, $5.06.
Thank you for picking up on that. President.
You're welcome. So that was seconded by Councilor Jackson. Any additional questions or comments? I'd like to just suggest another amendment, and it's a tweaky geeky one, but I want it to be right. So number 14 on the same page, revise the title of section 16-1.2. I'd take that as a friendly amendment because it reads 16-1. It should be 16-12.
So moved.
Thank you, Councilor Delissio. So the amendment is to change the $5.06 and add it to 16-12, I'm sorry.
Second.
Thank you. Motion is in order. Any additional questions or comments? A roll call vote will begin with Councilor Blair, I believe.
I believe so. Yeah. Mr. Blair.
Yes.
Ms. DeSimone.
Yes.
Mr. Conti.
Yes.
Waterman.
Yes.
Vice President Jackson.
Yes.
Mr. Delissio.
Yes.
Mr. Cobus.
Yes.
Ms. Dolan.
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds.
Yes.
Ms. Holmes.
Yes.
President Cooper.
Yes.
11 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you. Motion passes. So we are back to the motion as amended with currently three amendments. Any additional questions or comments? Seeing none, a roll call. Oh, Councilor Holmes, I'm sorry.
I think Councilor Reynolds wanted to make an amendment, but she doesn't have her video on. I don't know.
Yes, but my amendment, and again, forgive me because these were read all in at once. So I'm wondering, I wanted to make an amendment to 16-10.2A. Should I be making it now or after that section is read?
No, this is one big motion. So if you want to make an amendment, now's the time.
Okay, so I would like to make an amendment on 16-10.2, again, for the reasons that I cited before. So it would be Section A, water main extension -2000, and eliminate plus $4 per linear foot of water main installed. And I say that because the water main extensions have been $1,000. We're jumping it to $2,000. And there wasn't a linear foot. So if you have take an average of a 3,000 linear foot street in what is the average of a development, that would be an additional 12,000. So now you've put $13,000 on just one thing that you're requesting of these builders that was never there before. I suggest that it should be the water main extension at $2,000, and the $4 per linear foot comes out again a year from now, or at least again in January if we can see that the numbers are worthy of it.
Second.
Thank you, Counselor.
Thank you. So Sarah Reynolds. Okay, this is on the amendment. Any additional questions or comments? Seeing none, roll call vote will begin with
Blair, I think.
Council Blair, yes.
Mr. Blair,
Yes.
Ms. DeSimone,
No.
Mr. Conti,
No.
Mr. Waterman,
No.
Vice President Jackson,
No.
Mr. Delissio.
Yes.
You say yes?
Yes.
Mr. Cobus,
No.
Ms. Dolan,
No.
Ms. Reynolds,
Yes.
Ms. Holmes,
No.
President Cooper.
Yes.
3 yeas. I'm missing one. Shoot. 4 yeas, 7 nays.
Motion, the amendment fails.
Can I suggest that it be the water main extension at $2,000 plus $2 per linear foot of water main installed?
Second.
That at least gives everybody a chance to, eat what is going to be very expensive, no matter which way you slice it.
Thank you. Did I hear a second?
You did.
Okay, Councilor Delissio, thank you. Motion is in order. Any additional questions or comments? Seeing none, a roll call vote will begin with Councilor Holmes.
Ms. Holmes,
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds,
Yes.
Ms. Dolan,
No.
Mr. Cobus,
No.
Mr. Delissio.
Yes.
I'm sorry?
Yes.
Vice President Jackson,
No.
Mr. Waterman,
Yes.
Mr. Conti,
Yes.
Ms. DeSimone,
No.
Mr. Blair,
Yes.
President Cooper.
Yes.
7 yeas, 4 nays.
Thank you. Motion passes. Any additional questions or comments? We are to the main motion as amended. We have currently have four amendments.
So, Counselor, I just have to ask you, so would this go to any other fees as we're reading down? I mean, do we have to do all of them as you read these? That's the only one with the fees in this, correct? I'm reading through them. I'm just wanting to be sure that I'm not missing something.
Well, there are other fees added and increased throughout the entire 30-something motions here, but I think that's probably the most substantial.
This is the
one.
most extensive one. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Any additional questions or comments? We're on to the main, Council DeSimone.
President Cooper, forgive me. I just want to be clear. We're now voting on all of the amendments as one, correct?
The main motion as amended, that is correct.
Thank
Yes,
you.
with the three amendments. Any additional questions or comments? Is everyone clear on what we're voting on? Okay. Roll call vote will begin with Councilor Holmes.
Ms. Holmes,
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds,
I'm sorry, Counselor. I'm sorry, Counselor Cooper. I just have to ask you as I'm looking at this. The sewer main extension, all right, that's in wastewater. I apologize. So my yes.
Ms. Dolan.
Yes.
I didn't hear her.
Yes.
Yes. Mr. Cobus,
Yes.
Mr. Delissio,
Yes.
Vice President Jackson,
Yes.
Mr. Waterman,
Yes.
Mr. Conti,
Yes.
Ms. DeSimone,
Yes.
Mr. Blair,
Yes.
President Cooper.
Yes.
11 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you. Motion passes. Who seconded that? I'm
I
sorry.
didn't get it. Who was it?
Believe I did.
Counselor Delicio.
Yeah, I think so too.
Okay, great. Counselor Holmes.
Thank you. From the docket of February 2nd, 2021, I move to approve the request of the revisions of the following ordinances. Delete section 16-15.6, building sewers and connections in its entirety and replace with the following.
Second.
Thank you. Motion is in order.
I-
Counselor Reynolds.
So I have the, as I'm scanning down to 16.15, I'm actually have the same issue. And since I'm not going to 16.15, let me just get down there if I might.
While you're doing that, why don't we go to Counselor Holmes? Did you have your hand up? I'm sorry. After the motion, I didn't recognize you first. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Okay, Counselor Dolan.
Just a clarification. Are we we're doing wastewater now, correct?
That is correct.
So this won't be read as, we'll do it separate like it was done in committee?
Correct.
Yes, we will.
Okay. All right, thank you.
And I believe there's eight or nine motions with this one.
And it starts at 16.15, if I'm not mistaken.
16, yes.
0.15.
16-15.6.
Okay, so we're not at the one that I'm.
Which one are you trying to
I
amend?
was looking at the sewer main extensions, which are now I charged $4.95. It's 16 points. Oh, did I miss it? 16.6.2. And I think it's in the wastewater sewer main extension. They now pay $4.95. It's jumping to $100 plus $4 per linear foot and another $25 25% maintenance fee. And what I wanted to do there is the same thing, go to $2.
Oh, so that's motion. It appears to me that that's motion number 6.
Okay, thank you. I didn't exactly know where that was being read, but okay.
Yep. And
Thank
then any additional comments on the first section on the first motions? Counselor Delicio.
President Cooper, where this is so complex, can you just remind me, do I need to make the amendment again for every motion for January 1st?
I would say you do, sir, to be crystal clear on what we're trying to do.
I appreciate that. So moved.
Thank you. So there is an amendment for this first motion that this will become effective January 1st, 2022.
Second.
Thank you. Motion is in order. Any additional comments? Counselor Delicio.
Same as before.
Thank you. Counselor DeSimone, did I see your hand?
I just reiterate my objection as previously stated to extending the date to January 2022.
Thank you. Any additional comments? Seeing none, a roll call vote is required, and we'll begin with Counselor Blair.
Mr. Blair,
Yes.
Ms. DeSimone,
No,
Mr. Conti,
No.
Mr. Waterman,
No,
Vice President Jackson,
No.
Mr. Delicio,
Yes.
Mr. Cobus,
Yes.
Ms. Dolan,
No,
Ms. Reynolds,
Yes,
Ms. Holmes,
Yes.
President Cooper,
Yes,
6 yeas, 5 nays.
motion passes. We are now to the motion as amended. Any additional questions or comments? Seeing
Yeah,
none,
I'm confused here, so just for clarification for me, this is on the 16-15.6, correct?
that is correct.
Okay, I'm good now. Thank you.
Okay, no problem. Any additional questions or comments? Everybody clear on what we're voting on? Thank you. Roll call vote will begin with Counselor Holmes.
Ms. Holmes,
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds,
yes,
Ms. Dolan,
yes,
Mr. Cobus,
Yes.
Mr. Delicio,
Yes.
I'm sorry?
Yes.
Yes. Vice President Jackson,
Yes.
Mr. Waterman,
yes,
Mr. Conti,
Yes.
Ms. DeSimone,
yes,
Mr. Blair,
Yes.
President Cooper,
Yes,
11 yeas, 0 nays.
thank you. Motion passes. Council
From the,
Holmes.
thank you. From the docket of February 2nd, 2021, I move to approve the request of the revisions of the following ordinance, delete section 16-15.11 wastewater discharge permit application in its entirety and replace with the following.
Second.
Thank you. Motion is in order. Any questions or comments? Council Delicio.
Again, move to amend the effective date to January 1st of 2022.
Second.
Thank you. Motion's in order. Any additional questions or comments? Councilor DeSimone.
President Cooper, for the record, I reiterate my opposition to the extension to January 2022 for all this and all of the following amendments.
Thank you, Councilor DeSimone. Any additional questions or comments? Councilor Holmes.
Well, I just want to say that people can make an amendment to an amendment if they feel like the date should be different. And that concludes my comments.
Thank you. Any additional questions or comments? Seeing none, this is on the amendment. A roll call vote will begin with Councilor Blair.
Mr. Blair,
Yes.
Ms. DeSimone,
No.
Mr. Conti,
No.
Mr. Waterman,
No.
Vice President Jackson,
No.
Mr. Delicio,
Yes,
Mr. Cobus,
Yes.
Ms. Dolan,
No.
Ms. Reynolds,
Yes.
Ms. Holmes,
Yes,
President Cooper,
Yes,
6 yeas, 5 nays.
thank you. Motion passes. We are now to the motion as amended. Any additional questions or comments? Seeing none, a roll call vote will begin with Councilor Blair.
Mr. Blair,
Yes.
Ms. DeSimone,
Yes.
Mr. Conti,
Yes.
Mr. Waterman,
Yes.
Vice President Jackson,
Yes.
Mr. Delicio,
yes,
Mr. Cobus,
Yes.
Ms. Dolan,
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds,
Yes.
Ms. Holmes,
yes,
President Cooper,
Yes,
11 yeas, 0 nays.
thank you. Motion passes. Councilor Holmes.
thank you. From the docket of February 2nd, 2021, I move to approve the request of the revisions of the ordinance of the following ordinance. Delete section 16-15.12 wastewater discharge permit insurance process in its entirety and replace with the following.
second,
Thank you. Motion is in order. Any additional questions or comments? Councilor Delicio.
thank you, President Cooper. I move to amend the effective date to January 1st of 2022.
Second.
Oh,
Thank you.
Excuse me,
Motion-
Counselor Cooper,
Yes,
which one are we reading right now? Wastewater discharge?
I think it's 12, 16-15-12.
So we read how did I miss it? 16.15.11?
Yep.
Ah, okay. Okay.
Any additional questions or comments?
Mhm.
We have the motion to amend is in order. Any additional questions? Seeing none, a roll call vote will begin with Councilor Holmes.
Ms. Holmes,
Yes,
Ms. Reynolds,
God, 16.15.12. Yes.
Ms. Dolan,
No.
Mr. Cobus,
Yes.
Mr. Delicio,
Yes,
Vice President Jackson,
No.
Mr. Waterman,
No.
Mr. Conti,
No.
Ms. DeSimone,
Nope.
Mr. Blair,
Yes.
President Cooper,
Yes,
6 yeas, 5 nays.
motion passes. The amendment passes, I should say. Now we're to the motion as amended. 16-15-12.
All right.
Any additional questions or comments? Seeing none, a roll call vote, I believe, will begin with Councilor Blair.
I believe. Mr. Blair,
Yes.
Ms. DeSimone,
Yes.
Mr. Conti,
Yes.
Mr. Waterman,
Yes.
Vice President Jackson,
Yes.
Mr. Delicio,
yes,
Mr. Cobus,
Yes.
Ms. Dolan,
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds,
Yes.
Ms. Holmes,
Yes.
President Cooper,
Yes,
11 yeas, 0 nays.
thank you. Motion passes. Counselor Holmes.
Thank you. From the docket of February 2nd, 2021, I move to approve the requested revisions to the following ordinance. Delete section 16-15.13 wording requirements in its entirety and replace with the following.
Second,
Thank you. Motion is in order. Any additional? Wait a minute. Any additional questions or comments? Counselor Delissio.
I would move the effective date to be January 1st, 2020.
Oh, Jay, hold on one second. I'm getting some feedback. I don't know if somebody
Hold
needs
on, Joe.
mute. Sorry, Counselor Delissio.
No worries. I move to amend the effective date to January 1st, 2022.
Second.
Thank you. Motion's in order. Any additional comments? Roll call vote will begin with Counselor Holmes, I believe.
Ms. Holmes.
Yes.
Hang on a second. Let's see here. Yes. Ms. Reynolds,
Yes.
Ms. Dolan,
No.
Mr. Cobus,
Yes.
Mr. Delissio,
Yes.
Vice President Jackson,
No.
Mr. Waterman,
No.
Mr. Conti,
No.
Ms. DeSimone,
Nope.
Mr. Blair,
Yes.
President Cooper,
Yes.
6 yeas, 5 nays.
Thank you. Amendment passes now to the motion as amended. Any additional comments? Seeing none, a roll call vote will begin with Counselor
Holmes, I think.
Holmes.
I don't know.
Yeah. Holmes.
Ms. Holmes,
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds,
Yes.
Ms. Dolan,
Yes.
Mr. Cobus,
Yes.
Mr. Delissio,
Yes.
Vice President Jackson,
Yes.
Mr. Waterman,
Yes.
Mr. Conti,
Yes.
Ms. DeSimone,
Yes.
Mr. Blair,
Yes.
President Cooper,
Yes.
11 yeas, 0 nays.
Motion passes. Counselor Holmes.
Thank you. From the docket of February 2nd, 2021, I move to approve the requested revisions of the following ordinances. Delete section 16-15.15 in its entirety and replace with the following.
Second,
Thank you. Motion's in order. Any additional questions or comments? Counselor Delissio.
move to amend the effective date to January 1st, 2022.
Second.
Thank you. Motion's in order. Any comments on the amendment? Seeing none, a roll call vote will begin with Counselor Blair.
Mr. Blair,
Yes.
Ms. DeSimone,
No.
Mr. Conti,
No.
Mr. Waterman,
No.
Vice President Jackson.
No.
Let's see here. Mr. Delissio,
Yes.
Mr. Cobus,
Yes.
Ms. Dolan.
No.
Ms. Reynolds,
Yes.
Ms. Holmes,
Yes.
President Cooper,
Yes.
6 yeas, 5 nays.
Thank you.
Council President Cooper,
Yes,
are we going to be at 16.16.2?
we sure are in a minute.
Okay, I just want to make an amendment there. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Wait.
Counselor Holmes.
Voting.
Are we going to vote on 16, 15, 15?
Oh, yeah,
We did.
I guess we are. Didn't we?
That's why I didn't know if
We
you.
did the amendment. Who get the
Oh, we
second?
did the amendment. Yes, I'm sorry. The motion as amended.
Yeah.
I'm
I
sorry.
apologize.
Counselor Delissio made the second.
Made the second, yep.
Original motion. Cobus on the amendment now to the
Yep.
motion as amended. We'll begin with Counselor Holmes.
Ms. Holmes,
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds,
Yes.
Ms. Dolan,
Yes.
Mr. Cobus,
Yes.
Mr. Delissio,
Yes.
Vice President Jackson,
Yes.
Mr. Waterman,
Yes.
Mr. Conti,
Yes.
Ms. DeSimone,
Yes.
Mr. Blair,
Yes.
President Cooper,
Yes,
11 yeas, 0 nays.
thank you. Motion passes. Counselor Holmes.
Thank you. From the docket of February 2nd, 2021, I move to approve. the-
Councilor Cooper, don't I have to do my amendment before?
No, you don't. Let her make the motion first. Let it get seconded and then we'll.
Okay.
I move a motion to approve the requested revisions of the following ordinance. Delete section 16-16.2 in its entirety or replace with the following.
Second,
Do it.
Now,
Counselor Delissio to second.
yes.
And Counselor, any questions or comments? Counselor Delissio first.
Thank you. I would move to amend this motion for the effective date to be January 1st, 2022.
Second.
Thank you. Motion's in order to amend to effective January 1st, 2022. Any additional comments? Seeing none, roll call vote will begin with Councilor Blair.
Mr. Blair,
Yes.
Ms. DeSimone,
Nope.
Mr. Conti,
No.
Mr. Waterman,
No.
Vice President Jackson,
No.
Mr. Delissio,
Yes.
Mr. Cobus,
Yes.
Ms. Dolan,
No.
Ms. Reynolds,
Yes.
Ms. Holmes,
Yes.
President Cooper,
Yes.
6 yeas, 5 nays.
Thank you. Motion passes. Councilor Reynolds.
Oops.
Okay. I'm sorry. Thank you, Kate, for the hand movement. Let me go. I apologize immensely. So again, I am going to ask that it read as a fee of $1,000 plus $2 per linear foot and a maintenance fee of the 25% of the total permit fee shall be paid prior to issuing a permit.
Second.
Thank you. Motion is in order, and I'll just note that you would need, I'm assuming that you want that amendment to be reflected in both places where it refers for
Correctly,
$4
yeah.
per linear foot. Okay,
Correctly.
thank you. Any additional questions or comments on the amendment? Seeing none, a roll call vote will begin with Councilor Holmes.
Ms. Holmes,
No.
I'm sorry?
No.
No? Okay. Ms. Reynolds,
Yes.
Ms. Dolan,
No.
Mr. Cobus,
No.
Mr. Delissio,
Yes.
Vice President Jackson,
No.
Mr. Waterman,
No.
Mr. Conti,
That's a yes for Mr. Conti.
Ms. DeSimone,
No.
Mr. Blair,
Yes.
President Cooper.
Yes,
I have 5 yeas and 6 nays.
motion amendment failed. Any additional questions or comments? Seeing none, a roll call vote will begin, I believe, with Councilor Holmes on the motion as amended.
Ms. Holmes,
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds,
No.
Ms. Dolan,
Yes.
Mr. Cobus,
Yes.
Mr. Delissio,
Yes.
Vice President Jackson,
Yes.
Mr. Waterman,
Yes.
Mr. Conti,
Yes.
Ms. DeSimone,
Yes.
Mr. Blair,
No.
President Cooper.
No,
I have 8 yeas and 3 nays.
motion passes. Councilor,
Thank you. I feel like I'm lost.
that was the motion as amended, right? Yes.
Yep.
Yep. On to the next, which is number 7, right?
Okay. Yes, number 7. 16.18.9, is that where we're, okay.
Yes.
Sorry, I feel like from the docket of February 2nd, 2021, I move to approve the requested revisions of the following ordinance, delete section 16-18.9 in its entirety and replace with the following.
Second.
Thank you. Motion's in order. Any additional comments? Councilor Delissio.
I would move to amend the effective date to January 1st, 2022.
Second.
Thank you. Motion's in order. Any additional comments? Seeing none, a roll call vote will begin with Councilor Blair.
Mr. Blair,
Yes.
Ms. DeSimone,
No.
Mr. Conti.
No.
I'm sorry.
No.
Mr. Waterman,
No.
Vice President Jackson,
No.
Mr. Delissio,
Yes.
Mr. Cobus,
Yes.
Ms. Dolan,
No.
Ms. Reynolds,
Yes.
Ms. Holmes,
Yes.
President Cooper.
Yes.
I have 6 yeas, 5 nays.
Motion passes. Amendment passes, I should say. Now to the motion as amended. Councilor Delissio.
Thank you. So I propose the amendment to change the date, knowing I'm going to vote against this, this amendment to the ordinance on purpose. I feel that for the restaurants and the businesses going from a $100 one-time fee to a $250 every other year fee at this point is a little much. I would like to, however, suggest the administration bring this back down this time next year, and hopefully we're in a better place. Thank you.
Thank you. Any additional comments? Seeing none?
Oh, yeah.
Council Holmes.
Thank you. I really do agree with Council Delicio on this one. This is specific to, this does impact restaurants. They have been hit the hardest during this. I know that the excuse of the pandemic has been used in a lot of different ways, but that's very true. Some of these restaurants were very close to closing and still are not in a great position. I think we would be tone deaf to vote and approve this. I really do. I don't think that the timing is right for this one. I'm open to hearing what others' thoughts are on this, but at the same time, I'm very concerned about that. I personally know a few restaurants that are very close to closing, so that concludes my comments.
Thank you. Councilor Conti.
So in this economy, there are winners and losers, and the winners are beating out the losers. If you look at the amount of money that we collect in meals tax, which is just the hospitality industry, we all thought that the hospitality meals tax was going to drop like a stone this year because of the pandemic, but it has not. The first 2 months of this calendar year have broken records on the volume of dollars being charged people buying meals tax for takeout food. So not all restaurants are hurting. And all this means, if we pass this ordinance, is that your takeout order is going to be just a little bit more expensive. So I'm going to support this ordinance, and that concludes my comments.
Thank you. Councilor DeSimone.
Yes, I wholeheartedly concur with Councilor Conti, and I'm thinking particularly of some of they're not all mom and pop shops in Attleboro. Some of the chain restaurants are absolutely doing better in some ways in the pandemic than before. So I'm going to support it for all the reasons stated by Councilor Conti.
Thank you. Councilor Delicio.
Thank you. I don't disagree with that in terms of the increase that we've seen the first 2 months of this calendar year, but is it sustainable? I don't know. If this passes, I hope it is sustainable for the sake of businesses.
Thank you. Any Council Holmes.
Thank you. I would like to make a motion to change the fee from $250 to, it's currently $100 to $150.
Second.
Who was that? Council Waterman?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So a motion is in order to amend the 250 to 150. And again, I'm assuming you want that to be reflected in both spots in the ordinance. Any additional questions or comments? A roll call vote is in order and we'll begin with Council Holmes. This is on the amendment.
Ms. Holmes,
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds,
Yes.
Ms. Dolan,
No.
Mr. Cobus,
Yes.
Mr. Delicio,
Yes.
Vice President Jackson,
Yes.
Mr. Waterman,
Yes.
Mr. Conti,
No.
Ms. DeSimone,
No.
Mr. Blair,
Yes.
President Cooper,
Yes.
8 yeas, 3 nays.
Thank you. Motion passes. Or I should say amendment passes. Now to the motion as amended with 2 amendments. Any additional questions or comments? Seeing none, a roll call vote will begin with Councilor Blair.
Mr. Blair,
Yes.
Ms. DeSimone,
Yes.
Mr. Conti,
Yes.
Mr. Waterman,
Yes.
Vice President Jackson,
Yes.
Mr. Delicio.
No.
You said no?
I said no.
Mr. Cobus,
Yes.
Ms. Dolan,
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds,
No.
Ms. Holmes,
Yes.
President Cooper,
Yes.
9 yeas, 2 nays.
Thank you. Motion passes. Councilor Holmes.
Thank you. For the last motion, from the docket of February 2nd, 2021, I move to approve the requested revisions of the following ordinance, delete section 16-19.7 in its entirety and replace with the following.
Second.
Thank you. Motion is in order. Councilor Delicio, I know your hand's coming.
Thank you, President Cooper. I move to amend the effective date to January 1st, 2022.
Second.
Thank you. Motion's in order. Any additional comments? Seeing none, a roll call vote will begin with Councilor Holmes.
Ms. Holmes,
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds,
Yes.
Ms. Dolan,
No.
Mr. Cobus,
Yes.
Mr. Delicio,
Yes.
Vice President Jackson,
No.
Mr. Waterman,
No.
Mr. Conti,
No.
Ms. DeSimone,
No.
Mr. Blair,
Yes.
President Cooper,
Yes,
6 yeas, 5 nays.
thank you. Amendment passes. I don't know what's changing here.
What's that?
So, Council Holmes, can you help me? This is on the last one, right? This is another one that as I reviewed these again today for the 17th time. When I read 1617-9, it currently reads, the charge to process seepage shall be $7 per 100 gallons. This charge shall be based on the full registered capacity of the truck.
So what's
What's changing?
nothing?
So it doesn't look like there's any change in this. I just wanted to make sure that there wasn't an intended change that didn't get reflected in, I understand the look of it gives it's sort of the grid, it's narrative, but then it gives a visual grid of what the fee is, the service, the fee, and any notes associated with it. It does that throughout any of them that have fees, but I just in my side-by-side review, final
There's
review
no date change.
Yeah, I don't see it. So, Councilor Delicio.
Thank you. According to the document that was sent out by Assistant Superintendent Johnson on February 16th, he says basically the amendment is adding the fee table to keep consistent with the rest of the changes in the ordinance.
Okay, fine. I must have missed that. Thank you. Thank you. Any additional questions or comments?
So this is just the style of it, it sounds like.
It's just the look. Yep, it's housekeeping. Yep. Yeah. Okay. Any additional questions on the motion as amended? Seeing none, roll call vote will begin with Councilor Blair.
Mr. Blair,
Yes.
Ms. DeSimone,
Yes.
Mr. Conti,
Yes.
Mr. Waterman,
Yes.
Vice President Jackson,
Yes.
Mr. Delicio,
Yes,
Mr. Cobus,
Yes.
Ms. Nolan,
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds,
Yes.
Ms. Holmes,
Yes.
President Cooper,
Yes.
11 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you. Motion passes. Councilor Holmes.
Thank you. That's it for motions. I just really want to thank my committee and for helping get this out and to the full council. That concludes the business this evening.
Thank you. I have no old business. I have one item of new business. Let me just find it 1 second. And I would recognize Councilor Cobus.
Thank you. I entertain a motion to refer the following to committee for study and recommendations. Request to modify the revised ordinances of the city of Attleboro to change the term length for appointed paid positions where the term length is currently greater than 1 year to a length of up to the existing term length. This shall not apply to positions which depend on a rotation schedule where one or more positions expire each year.
second,
Thank you. Motion is in order. Any additional comments, Councilor Cobus?
I think it's straightforward.
Thank you. Any additional questions or comments from the council? Seeing none, a roll call vote is required and we'll begin with Councilor Holmes.
Ms. Holmes,
You're muted.
Yes.
Ms. Holmes, did you say yes?
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds,
Yes.
Ms. Dolan,
Yes.
Mr. Cobus,
Yes.
Mr. Delicio,
yes,
Vice President Jackson,
No.
Mr. Waterman,
No.
Mr. Conti,
No.
Ms. DeSimone.
Oh.
You said no? Mr.
No.
Blair,
Yes.
President Cooper,
Yes.
7 yeas, 4 nays.
Thank you. Motion passes for this matter to be sent for study and recommendation. It's going to Ordinances, Elections, and Legislative Matters Committee. And that is all the new business for this evening. At this time, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Thank you. Motion is in order. Roll call vote will begin with Councilor Blair.
Mr. Blair,
Yes.
Ms. DeSimone,
Yes.
Mr. Conti,
Yes.
Mr. Waterman,
Yes.
Vice President Jackson,
Yes.
Mr. Delicio,
Yes.
Mr. Cobus,
Yes.
Ms. Dolan,
Yeah.
Ms. Reynolds,
Yes.
Ms. Holmes,
Yes.
President Cooper,
Yes,
11 yeas, 0 nays.
thank you. Motion passes. We are adjourned at 9:04. Thank you. Good night.
Nice to see you.
Night, everyone.
Patrick's Day, everyone.
Shit.